Welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and start things off. This is the first ever Wake and Jake with THC. So skip your coffee. We are rolling out of bed, packing a bowl, and breaking down all the things that you need to be watching for this week. The idea for the show is that me and Jake are going to spark up some discussions or topics. But once we've got them burning good, we're going to be putting those into rotation, passing it to you guys, our beloved and knowledgeable community. So it is an open form discussion, a little different than office hours. That's why we're doing this down here in voice hangout chat. If you've got, a low key underfarmed L2 that you're looking at, or, one of those old school ETH mainnet mints you're watching, this is going to be the place to bring it up. Others can chime in, as I mentioned before, but, Jake and I are happy to give our initial opinions on things, or maybe perform some due diligence live here with everyone. Of course, everybody can chime in on that as well. It's going to be, like loose and relaxed. We just, everybody want to, kind of vibe out, have a good time, and sort of plan out the week in the midst of all this madness and craziness that's going on. So with the foundation laid here, GM, Jake, how are you doing, sir?
GM THC, I'm doing wonderful. Beautiful morning. The markets are pumping back from their weekend dip that we saw. People are in panic mode, and we just reverted right back to where we were before that. So we'd love to see it. Excited to get this started with you. Some legendary puns right there to start us off. Some hot fire. Yeah, just yes, sir. Just to piggyback off of kind of the goals with this show. We basically, like you said, we want to keep it pretty loose, informal. It's not going to be like a strict format. We want it to kind of emulate a bit of what normal VC is like. I think, the goal is we wanted to kind of incentivize people getting back in a voice hangout, getting used to, listening in and chiming in, discussing the topics of the day, that kind of thing. So we figured, we might as well just start it off the week right? Get one started Monday morning, get everyone in here, chatting up, get everyone, used to being in voice and understand what's going on for the week ahead. So we're going to talk about all the topics, give our takes, and then invite you guys to join us. So should be a great time.
Agreed. Yeah, really looking forward to it. And then just one last little piece of housekeeping. We do plan for this to run for roughly an hour and a half. We can obviously continue the conversation in VC once it's done, but just so that we can kind of keep it a little bit packaged, so that we can kind of have a clear end and stop point, just for Jake and myself as your hosts. So if at some point the conversation has gone completely off the rails, those edibles are kicking in and it's getting a little weird, then I'll try and rein us back in, just so we can go on and cover all the topics that we want to cover for the week. Does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds great to me. Another quick thing. Just if you want to chat with us, we're going to be monitoring voice hangout chat. So just if you have any questions or comments or whatever, feel free to chime in. And also, none of what we say is financial advice. Got to throw that disclaimer out there, of course. And we also, a lot of this stuff is new to us too, that we're going to be talking about, because it's upcoming events, new topics. So we might get some info wrong. We might have different takes than you. Please feel free to correct us. We want to all be on the same page. We want to know what's going on. We want to be correct, so we can all cook together. So don't hesitate to let us know if we were wrong on a certain thing. We're going to obviously try to be right on everything, but with all this new info, mistakes are going to happen. So bear with us. First episode.
Yes, sir. Great disclaimer. Shout out to Aslo. Show's rated NFA, and of course, can't be experts on everything. But beautiful thing about MVHQ is that there are secret experts on everything, apparently. So you guys feel free, unmute, hop in voice chat, whatever you want to do. Okay, let's go ahead and get this kicked off with our first topic, probably the biggest thing on everyone's mind this morning, and really all last week, the Bitcoin ETF. We've got some tweets coming out this morning. We got some news articles being published. Hell, we got Gary Gensler tweeting. And when that man starts tweeting about crypto, he does not want to do it, and it's because he has to, because something's about to happen. So let's go ahead and start with that Bitcoin ETF. Jake, do you have any initial thoughts, opinions, predictions? And then what kind of walk us through what you expect the market's reaction will be once the Bitcoin ETF does go live?
Yeah. So the deadline for a decision by the SEC is January 10th. So that's on Wednesday. So obviously everyone's expecting them to be make a decision by Wednesday. It seems from recent reports, I'm going to share a tweet and voice hangout right now from Bloomberg that says they expect it to be on Wednesday, the very last day that it does officially get approved. You know, by all intents and purposes, it seems like it's going to get approved. It seems like, if I had to guess, like over a 99% chance that what would, you know, BlackRock's like 475 and 1 and ETF approvals. And they've basically gone through all the process. Everyone knowledgeable on the, you know, on the happenings of ETF world. I'm certainly not an expert in that area, but I follow people who are experts, and they all seem to be in agreement that it is going to get approved. You know, here's another one from former SEC chair that I'm sharing right now, saying that, oh, sorry, that was the Gary Gensler one. There's another one from former SEC chair basically saying that it's going to get approved. So that's certainly my expectation. I think, you know, I think in crypto world, we're like very much on top of it. And I think everyone's on top of the news with this because it affects us and our market so much. But in the traditional world, you know, I think it's not something they're like fully anticipating. They're not really understanding, I guess, the chances of approval as much. I saw a survey that one of the, I think it was BitMEX, one of the ETF providers, maybe it was Hashdex, one of those. They basically did a survey on financial advisors, and like under less than half of them thought that it was actually going to get approved, which is pretty crazy to me. But over 90% of them said if it does get approved, then they are going to, you know, direct their clients towards, you know, putting money into the ETF. So I think honestly, I think the whole sell the news thing is very mid-curve way of looking at it. My personal opinion. I think, you know, it's just going to be a huge catalyst for Bitcoin, and I think there's still enough people on the sidelines who think there's a chance of not getting approved that we still see a nice spike from where we are on approval. You know, afterwards, you know, it is like not exactly because it is not exactly an immediate catalyst. But over time, I think it's a huge catalyst. That's just the ability for traditional capital to be able to, institutional capital, I should say, in traditional markets to be able to invest in Bitcoin within their traditional investment in vehicles. You know, they don't have to create a wallet to hold Bitcoin. They don't have to worry about self-custody and like getting scammed and all these things. Like these big institutions, they don't want to do that. They don't want to go through that. They don't have to worry about a certain person on their staff like creating a multi-sig and like going through all that process. They can just hold it like they do all their other holdings. They don't have to do anything extra. They just buy the ETF, right? So I think that really unlocks basically that, you know, the barriers of entry go down a lot for these big firms, and they feel a lot safer being able to buy this ETF instead of buying Bitcoin directly. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge, huge catalyst for the entire market. So I'm certainly pretty stoked about it. I think if I had to guess, I'd say initial pump, then chop for a little while after that, and then a gradual pump from there.
I just want to highlight those figures that you brought up. I know you're kind of shooting from the hip here, just off memory, but I remember when you posted them the other day, them being staggering. I mean, big percentages, right? You know, 50% of people don't think that it's going to happen, but 90% of people say that they will put their money. Those are pretty big percentages. So yeah, that's pretty staggering. Interesting that, you know, it's not people lining up saying, hey, take my money. It's not going to just straight to the moon, you know, expect and chop. There are people, like you said, mid-curve and selling the news as you would traditionally do with something like this. So a lot of things to take into account. I was going to read Jacob's question, but I feel like this would be cooler if Jacob just unmutes and asks this question. Are you able to do that, brother? Or if you can't talk, I can read it off for you. But yeah, I'd like to get the questions, man. If you guys feel free to unmute. Hey, let's go, GM Jacob.
Yeah, Relic Hunter's typing in chat a little bit more about it. Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier today. I just shared it. They're basically, I don't really know the standard for ETF fees exactly, but they seem very low, like Relic Hunter just mentioned. There seems to be a pretty enticing war right now between these ETF providers to get their fees as low as possible. I've seen a lot of stuff, from these experts saying basically they want to acquire capital as quickly as possible. They want to be the market leaders. That's kind of how ETF works. Like whoever is the leader of whoever has the most volume, it kind of stays like that. Like that's where investors gravitate to, whoever has the biggest holdings. And investors typically don't change from one ETF to another. So it's going to be a big marketing campaign right away for these ETF providers to acquire as much capital as possible within them so that they can be the market leader and so they can be the go-to, for all investors to allocate their capital in. So there's going to be a big marketing campaign, a lot of marketing spend for this, and there's going to be a lot of low fees to entice people to get on board with their specific ETF, which is really, really great for us, obviously. Offering as low a barrier entry as possible, as low as fees as possible for these people to invest in Bitcoin is exactly what we want.
With the Bitcoin ETF, once it goes through, is that going to be like included in like index funds and people's 401ks and stuff like that? Like, are normies going to be investing in Bitcoin without knowing? That's a narrative that I had heard before, ETFs were, right on the horizon. Just a long time ago, but people were basically saying, hey, people are going to be buying Bitcoin without even knowing.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say to like the specifics of what funds it'll be included in. But I would anticipate that certainly they'll be able to allocate 401ks and IRAs towards this Bitcoin ETF. That's kind of the big unlock, right? Is that you can now use institutional capital for it. I think there's already some funds like that you can buy crypto with, like in your 401k. I'm pretty sure, but I think this is just will increase the amount of them like by order of magnitude. One other thing is one other thing that I think is interesting is how much reportedly gets put in like right away. This tweet that I just shared is apparently the BlackRock has lined up $2 billion to buy basically Bitcoin within the days of its launch. And that's they're the biggest issuer for sure, but that's also just one issuer, right? There's a lot of others like Fidelity and these others who probably have flows lined up as well. So yeah, man, this is one of the reasons I think it's not like a sell the news event. I think there's a lot of capital that's unlocked to be able to go in, and I think there's going to be just the fact that there's so much competition between these issuers. I think it's going to be a race to get in for some of these to get volume in right away, and that's why I think it's not exactly a sell the news type event. Is that there's just going to be so much demand right away for it, for Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Okay, I got one more for you. One more question. Maybe this is the edible kicking in. Maybe it's tinfoil hat time already. Have you heard any or seen any of the sort of math or rumors that BlackRock has enough sort of assets and management to buy up the entire supply of Bitcoin, like all of it, off all the exchanges, and it wouldn't even be a big dent in their portfolio? Do you give that sort of conspiracy theory any weight in your mind? Like, do you think it's a possibility? I've seen people on the most extreme end of that say BlackRock could theoretically, and maybe they intend to buy up all the Bitcoin and fork it. Once they have a majority of the supply. Do you think something like that could ever happen? Is that at all a fear that you think about? Sort of a threat on decentralization with such a big asset manager coming in to the game like this?
I haven't seen anything about that, but the whole thing about decentralization, I think, is very much, I would say, a worry from that standpoint. With these big asset managers, they have so much. I mean, BlackRock has trillions, like literally trillions. They have like they have more than the entire crypto market cap in assets under management, right? So um, they're big players that can like they can do a lot, right? They have a lot of power, a lot of money to sway around. Um, I don't know. I think just the whole fact of decentralization, like, yes, it certainly makes it less decentralized. If these big institutions are housing this Bitcoin all in one fund or one ETF, away from the people. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the long term effects of that is going to end up being. I just think it's something we're certainly going to have to monitor as time goes on. It's going to help the price, but there's probably going to be a cost to that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Quick maths for the listeners that don't have screens in front of them. 8.5 almost 8.6 trillion in assets under management for BlackRock. Now, of course, that's not just like liquid capital that they have, but fuck, when you're talking about somebody's overall portfolio, 8.6 trillion versus entire crypto market cap sitting at 1.6 trillion. I mean, yeah, Bitcoin, it wouldn't even be a bump in the road for them. If they did want to go after it. So that's pretty wild to think about. Is there anybody else that wants to hop up and talk ETF with us before we kind of move on to the next topic? I know it's kind of a big deal, and people probably want to make sure that they're positioned correctly. So, any other thoughts, opinions, any other game plans anybody wants to share? ETF talk.
Another thing Raga asked in chat is, where will the initial announcement of the approval denial be? Obviously, we'll see it on Twitter, but how will we get the information earliest as possible? Relic Hunter's typing, so if I'm wrong, hopefully he'll correct me, because he'll certainly know. But I'm assuming it'll be a Bloomberg terminal will be the fast, or one of the fastest, if not the fastest way. Yeah, and then this account that I shared, Twitter /Delta1 Walter Bloomberg is what he calls himself. He always tweets out the Bloomberg stuff like as fast as possible. So he would be a good one to have notifications on if you are really trying to time it as fast as possible. Yeah, or if you have the Bloomberg terminal yourself, you can always buy that. But I think it's decently expensive.
Went ahead and threw a poll in Voice Hangout chat too. Just quick, audience temperature check. Are you going to long, short, or just sit out and wait in stables on the ETF approval news? Just kind of get an idea where everybody's head's at.
One thing I will say, we already saw it last week, but there's going to be a lot of chop that goes on with this approval, because there's just so many people that are levered up right now in anticipation, right? They want to hit the move before it happens. Hands up, guilty. I've been one of those, and I've gotten burned already, thinking it was going to be on Friday. But so just something to be aware of if you are trying to play in the leverage streets. It's there's going to be a lot of volatility, right? And there could be some huge spikes that take you out, like right before the announcement even happens. So if you are playing it, like it's in my opinion, it's super risky right now, way more so than even normal. Just with, I think there's going to be like a lot of fake outs, a lot of leverage getting wiped off from the map if it gets out of control. So just something to keep in mind. Again, not financial advice, but
yeah, that's a great call. I mean, fuck, where the market already seems so manipulated. Relic Hunter, like you said, is some intern flush us out. I mean, how many times have we seen just a rogue tweet, liquidation wick? So yeah, now this is a whole new sort of playing field, playing with the big boys. So I would expect a lot more of that to a bigger degree. So yeah, definitely be careful, everybody, if you're out there using leverage. I mean, you heard it from the man himself. I don't know what more warning you could need. I'm going to go ahead and move on to some more topics here. And if we want, we can always circle back, of course. I want to kind of, I mean, I want to jump straight into ETF stuff. It's the first thing kind of on everybody's mind here, but I want to take a step back and sort of, Jake, just kind of ask you what you've had kind of going on, what your daily sort of focus has been over the past week and going into this week. Just like what stuff are you kind of staying on top of and keeping a keen eye out on any projects, or is it mostly market swings and trading and stuff like that? What does your week look like last week, and what do you imagine it'll look like this week?
Yeah, last week, I'm assuming this week is actually pretty similar to last week for me because a lot of it was focusing on this ETF stuff, trying to play the news. And again, speaking from experience, like from the leverage warning, I got burned for sure. Like it was not a good week for me last week. I'm not gonna lie. I just was too premature and my longs. I was probably thinking like most people, and that's where you can get burnt, right? If you are going along with the crowd, thinking that it's going to get approved, I need to be in a long, right? I need to capture this big pump, and then I get screwed. So that hurt, but we're moving on. Gotta learn from your losses. Yeah, us outside of the ETF stuff. I've been focusing on a lot of Solana mints. I was doing a lot of degen degen shipments. Basically, I launched my NFT, or what Solana chat likes to call launch their NFT, because there's so much stolen art that gets dropped on there. Hasn't really gone that great for me, honestly. I think Solana mints kind of tapered out a bit last week as well. Outside of that, I'm basically just looking for the next thing. I'm looking to try and figure out what's going to be hot. I think one street that has been really hot that I've been fading just because of time and not because I don't think it's worth it is ordinals. We saw these node monkeys pump a ton. I think that brought a lot of outside interest and capital into Bitcoin, and just the fact that Bitcoin itself is the narrative right now, and there's just so many people on Bitcoin, true hardcore Bitcoiners that have a ton of money, right? Because they're the OGs. I think that narrative is not going to stop. I think it's going to be pretty hot for a while. So that's something I'm looking to get back into. I've been fading it this whole way through the bull run just because of the fact that it is annoying to use, and I hate the fact that a lot of the infrastructure involved with the block confirmations can take like an hour to get a transaction through, and there's like 7 different wallets and different addresses and all this crap. But I think with that, with those barriers of entry, with that friction, usually, like we talk about it a lot, usually with that kind of friction, that's where like the money's actually made, because a lot of people aren't willing to do it. So if you're the one willing to do it before everyone else, and you basically acquire the assets and knowledge ahead of time before that friction gets lowered eventually, when there's enough competition that comes in and improves the protocols and lowers the barrier of entries. Like we've seen it with ETH NFTs, we've seen it with Solana now, and I think we're certainly going to see it with ordinals. We already have a bit from when they first started trading just on Google Sheets originally, when the first ordinal inscriptions came through. So I think that's honestly an area that I want to focus on more. I'm certainly not an expert. I kind of got into it a bit during the bear market last year, probably like last summer or so, and got set up, and then I kind of eventually faded it after things faded away, and I just became kind of really super annoyed using it because of that friction that I talked about. But in my opinion, with the node monkey stuff, and now there's like Bitcoin puppets or whatever that are all over Twitter, I think there's going to be a lot more projects popping up on ordinals, and it's just like it's Bitcoin, right? It's like Bitcoin NFTs. It kind of just makes sense. Like it's not going to go away, right? So I might as well basically bear down, deal with the issues, and learn more. So that's kind of probably what my focus is going to be on, more so this upcoming week.
Yeah, good shout. Very well said. Yeah, the friction is definitely there. I mean, fuck. I wish I had a time machine so I could go back and listen to Solo when she was posting all the Google Sheets and breaking it down for everybody. That would have been a phenomenal time. I mean, I still haven't touched a single BRC20. You know, I've been at a few ordinals. I think I have the same problem there as I do with Solana mints, where I just don't sell them immediately and they go to zero. So, you know, maybe ordinal season will revive my bags a little bit. Not holding my breath, but yeah, those BRC20s. I heard people saying Ordi's pumping. It's going crazy. Do you think maybe with Bitcoin ETF we could see sort of a full-on Bitcoin meta with ordinals and BRC20s pumping? You think maybe that's something in the cards?
Yeah, certainly I do. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be right away. I'm not sure when that meta is gonna come. It's kind of hard to predict where the market's gonna turn before it actually turns. But it certainly seems like activity over there is heating up. Real quick, I just want to shout out Lizard Capital. He had a really nice Dune dashboard. I know he posted it in field reports before, but I don't know if Bitcoin is on here. He probably can't include Bitcoin, but it's a really good way to kind of see where volume and activity is trending towards. I've been using it myself. I think it's super helpful. I just posted it in VC Hangout as well. But it's a good way to kind of see like what's going on, where the activity is going, where it's falling off from as well. Like you'll see like Solana trades over the past like couple weeks are down quite a bit, probably like half of what they were a couple weeks ago. So attention shifting, and you can kind of get ahead of the curve by monitoring stuff like this, looking at the data.
THC from the future here. Unfortunately, we didn't capture any of the community's audio for this episode, so instead I'll just flash a quick summary on the screen of what was being discussed, and we'll jump on ahead. Thanks for watching. Yeah, appreciate it, Genzo, for the at the finish line last minute Hail Mary there. Unfortunate we can't go jump on it. This one's interesting. I saw this in a newsletter. There's only a 22 supply on this project. It's like a sort of like a layer zero, like cross network thing. So one supply will be available on every blockchain, basically. So yeah, 22 pieces, but I thought this was pretty interesting. So if anybody feels like they have an edge on a certain obscure network that many others are not active on, maybe you can get one of these 22 pieces.
So 22 per chain?
No, one per chain, 22 in total.
Oh.
Pretty wild. Yeah, so if you're, I don't know, a Say Maxi, maybe you've got a Say minting bot or something ready. I don't know, maybe you can snipe one of these or any of these other chains. But yeah, it's sort of like a pretty cool concept. It's like a map showing like all the connection of all the different chains. But yeah, definitely leans more art than anything else. Seems like a social experiment or something on-chain art, maybe.
I think that's a good discussion piece of omni-chain. I think it's interesting. I'd like to hear takes around like, do you guys think omni-chain is like the future of projects? What do you think about projects that do go omni-chain? Basically, omni-chain, multiple chains is what it means. That a project is live on. I personally am like not. I'm not really a fan. It doesn't like excite me at all. I think it's like it segments. The way I see it is like it kind of segments liquidity and attention, and it makes the project a little more, I guess, confusing because it'd be on multiple marketplaces as well. So there's certainly arbitrage involved when that happens, right? Being able to buy on one chain for a lower price and sell on the other one for a higher price. But I feel like it's harder long term. We've already we haven't really seen any projects do great on that. I know I'm not following this. I'm not following this ecosystem super clearly, but On-Chain Monkey, I feel like it's like the only one that's like on both ETH and it's on Bitcoin. I'm not sure exactly if you can bridge from cross to cross, but like that's the only one I can really think of that's successful being on two chains at once.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because, yeah, surface level, it sounds fantastic, right? It's like, oh, well, you can it's cross chain, you can be on any of these networks, there's no borders, it's decentralized. But you think about it for another second, and yeah, there are some problems that are introduced, like you said, just the segmentation of your audience and the volume in the marketplaces seems like a big headache to deal with. Um, but also, I mean, I don't know, yeah, it kind of just speaks to this sort of L2 mania that we're in. We've got so many chains. I mean, 22 chains, this mint that I was just talking about, 22 different chains. Like, that's a lot. It's a lot going on. Starting to feel like, like old school cable packages, right? Where it's like you got all these different options and like different things happen on all of them. So I guess, in an ideal world, you'd want things to kind of be cross chain, so it doesn't really matter. That way you don't have to spend the crazy ETH gas prices, or you don't have to wait for the extremely long Bitcoin block times just to interact with some of these projects and stuff. So I mean, I can see the upside to it, but yeah, it definitely has some holes and problems that I guess we're gonna have to figure out. Maybe we're not there yet, but yeah, let's kick it over to the crowd. Anybody have any Layer Zero opinions? Anybody bullish on those ghosty ghosts or whatever? See, that's why we got out of bed this morning, for this type of information. Good shout. I'm actually going to follow that up with an almost comically long list. This was from Llama the other day. I said he should make it into a bingo card. This is the list of things that he's either like farming or airdropping, or trying to get an airdrop from. We're kind of talking about all these L2s and stuff. So this is, Orderly seems like another one we can add on to this list. But yeah, check out this wall of text here. It just keeps getting longer every day. Maybe that's a good segue. How are you guys managing? Or I guess we'll start with you, Jake. Are you rolling your sleeves up and engaging in all of these different L2s and farms and staking and liquidity and all this stuff, or are you just focusing on a couple winners with size, or how are you going about it?
Yeah, I think I think airdrop farming is like one of the best things you can do in crypto, as far as risk return. Just putting in a little bit of time to farm these airdrops. It's like it's one of those things where it takes like so little capital as long as you put in a little bit of work, and there's big upside, but it's like the unknown, right? You don't know how big the upside is, so a lot of people don't do it because they haven't seen it, and then once they see it, then they put it in, and then they try to farm, right? If there's like another round, like Blur, for example, and then it's not as worth it, right? Because there's a lot more competition, or like there's a lot of these Solana airdrops. We'll see what happens, but there's just so much more competition after everyone saw how big the what was it, Jupe? What was that one? I always get them mixed up. Jupe or Jito, one of those. Jito, yeah. Um, so yeah, I think getting in on ones that haven't dropped yet, that also don't have a ton of attention. Like people aren't making a ton of threads about that specific airdrop, but you also feel like is going to be big eventually. Has a lot of potential. I think that's a great play personally, or that might take a little bit more work to do. You got to put in a decent amount of hours or to be able to set that airdrop up. I think those are probably going to be worth it the most. Being able to like set aside some time in your day to do it. Personally, like I'm not. Personally, it's just I hate to like. I feel like I sound a little bit arrogant saying this, but I just don't. I just don't like a lot of it. It just feels like it's not worth my time to do sometimes. I just think about like the opportunity cost of everything that I do, like how much time it takes me to do something, like what's the value that I get out of that time. That's something I focus on a ton of. And a lot of these, like I just don't know. So I just won't do them. I'm pretty bad at the airdrop farming stuff. I did do it earlier on in my crypto career, I guess I should say, and it worked out great. I think I still think it's very much worth it. So I'm not like a huge airdrop farmer. I'm not gonna lie. Probably the one I want to the most right now, if I had to focus on one, is Tensor. If I had to pick, just because a lot of it is like trading naturally. Like I can do it while also trying to flip JPEGs at the same time. Because it focuses on Tensor, for those who don't know, is the Solana NFT marketplace. It's basically the Blur for Solana, and they haven't had their first airdrop yet. So I think that's why I really want to focus on it, is because I think it's a little under the radar, even though like it's still pretty talked about, but it's we haven't seen like the initial like screenshots of everyone getting like their huge first Blur airdrop, right? We haven't seen that from Tensor yet, so that's kind of why I want to focus on it. Is I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty big one. So, and I can farm it while also doing what I naturally do in like flipping JPEGs, right? So that's probably the main one I'm focusing on. Then another one I'm looking at is the TIA staking, even though that one's a little hotter in the streets now after that DYM airdrop to TIA stakers, and I think one other one I can't remember the name of that came through recently. But I want to set that up eventually. It seems like they're just only going to get more and more airdrops via staking your TIA. So I want to set up several wallets to get that going, because I think it's going to continue to be a hot trend through this next bull market. The whole data availability layer, EVM, parallelization, and then the whole Cosmos network. It seems like all those new projects on there are gonna be allocating stuff to TIA stakers. So those are probably the main two that I'm focused on right now.
Oh God, you're gonna make me use this Kepler wallet, aren't you?
I know, man. I haven't even started yet, but I'm like kind of dreading doing it.
I want to kind of sandwich a little bit, like kind of give some the other side of that coin here. And Jake said it at the beginning, just about a lot of it is about your time cost. Aslo did also mention money lockup. That's something else to pay attention to. Is just if the money is going to be locked, and your airdrop could be locked as well, vested and whatnot. So yeah, you have to factor all those things in. But just as somebody who is, I'm at a different portfolio level than these other guys that are talking. So I'm under 2 ETH spread across, I don't know, 6 or 7 chains. So this is sort of more of like a portfolio building phase for me, where it is worth my time to actually dig into some of these L2s and just stake a little, just not even a lot, don't go in with size, just throw, $40 at one of these chains, just lock it up, because every once in a while, you have these airdrops where the qualifier was stake 1 TIA. There's some conversation going on in chat about how many wallets you should have, how much you should stake on each of those. So sometimes it pays off to just throw some couch change into, one of these chains and then have it pay off. Especially if you are, earlier in your journey, or this is your first, bull cycle, or if, the bear wiped you out, or whatever the case may be. These are really good opportunities to sort of build your bankroll up with a lot lower risk, especially if you're going in with smaller amounts, not, sending size over to a new chain and then agreeing to lock it up for a couple months. You're just going to be sidelined. I know a lot of people are already clamoring to get that blast ETH back, just because you're sidelined. You're just watching it go down, like, damn, hope this pays off. Hope I get my money back soon. So yeah, if you're like me, don't spread yourself too thin, but you also kind of want to keep your ears to the ground and try and get in on some of these, because it can be a very low cost to get in, and it can pay off handsomely later. And then one more thing too is just, something that we learned last cycle was just with how much we cooked off the ARB airdrop through Bridge World. Games are fantastic ways to rack up transactions on other chains, especially the L2s that have really low gas. The game's probably not fun. I use the word game loosely here, but they're basically just, transaction farms. Instead of doing a swap and, introducing volatility or paying swap fees or anything like that, you just submit transactions through a game. And, if you did that on Bridge World, Arbitrum was phenomenal airdrop for you. So I'm sure there'll be a few more games that become, portfolio builders as we get all these new L2s exploding outwards.
I don't want to say, we are the cause of this, but since we started this podcast, or sorry, show, Bitcoin's gone up 1K. So just saying.
We're pumping it. I'll squeeze this here. Poppy asked me how I feel about Oh Baby Games. Yeah, I did like a really short review on Twitter if you guys want to check that out. But man, they got a nice little kart game. It's good, man. It's Mario Kart basically, but with like crypto drivers, crypto karts. It's pretty sick, man. There were a few nights, I've got a PS5. I'm a gamer. I have a bunch of new games and stuff. There were a few nights where I just wanted to play that. And the reward system is not even like clearly defined yet. So it's like, I'm really just playing because it's fun. I mean, there's like, some incentive to be a beta tester and accumulate the beta boxes and stuff, but I wasn't really sure what it was, and that didn't matter. I was just playing it and it was a lot of fun. And then as of this morning, I did see in their Discord, I don't know if I got a new role added or what, but I think it unlocked a channel. People are betting their, so there's like BP that you earn. It's like the experience that you earn as you go. People are gambling races. Like they're betting their rank basically and their experience based on like 1v1 races. People are selling the carts. People are selling, the in-game assets and stuff. So it looks like, their Web3 layer, the degen layer is definitely there as well. I don't know when the full release is scheduled for, but I think beta's going for another week or so. Not a lot of fun games in crypto, but might have one here.
Yeah, great shout. Anytime THC gives the game 4.5 out of 5 stars, I know I got to try it out, especially if it's a crypto game. Is that the highest rating you've ever given a game in crypto?
Yeah, that would be the highest. There's really, honestly, there's not really a strong reason for me to not give it a 5. It's just it's in beta. There's some glitches and shit with some of the maps. You can kind of get like stuck in certain areas where you'd think you wouldn't. There's some ults. So like each of the players have like their own like ults, like abilities or whatever. And like Kobe is one of the drivers, and he has this. It's basically just like nitrous, it just boosts you really fast. But man, you could just fucking yeet yourself off the map and like skip half the map type shit. And I don't think it's intentional. But, just little nitpicks like that. But yeah, solid game, really good. Yeah, I'll give a quick little quip. I'll let Jake take the Cambria talk. For me, I see it being almost problematic. So I saw like a mini documentary about RuneScape that basically broke down how RuneScape very quickly became like the #1 money laundering website. Just because it was so easy for people to just spin up new profiles and have people buy gold that they were, laundering, stolen funds or just laundering their money, their criminal empires through RuneScape. And it was such a big fucking deal that I'm pretty sure the government had to step in and stuff. So I don't know, man. It's like they've taken out almost all of the game part of it, in my opinion, and they've left just like the 1v1 dueling, which I don't know, man. Seems like they could get in some legal trouble, but maybe I'm taking the boomer approach to this, and maybe I just need to sit back and enjoy the ride. Visually, it looks cool. I think it has the vibes that they're going for with the RuneScape and stuff, but it just seems more like it's just a coin flip. It's just it's a degen gambling coin flip, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm assuming that I don't know where they're based, but I'm assuming it's not U.S. because. With what they're doing, it wouldn't be legal, I would assume, in the U.S. Not an expert, but that's are they? Okay. My take on it is I'm pretty bullish. I think I think they've done a good job even in like this small beta phase of creating a good social concept of the game, like being able to have kind of like like a hangout area within the game that people could chat in, and it's very, very cookie cutter at the moment, but they've been developing the game for over a year now, and this is kind of just like the dual arena phase of the game is basically just like get your beak wet type of thing, like just for something for people to do while they finish the rest of the game. I know they're coming out with a new mode soon. Like they're like doing a new phase basically called Gold Rush is what they called it. I really don't know anything about it. I haven't looked into it, or I also don't know if they have even given more info about it. So there's going to be more to it, right? It's not like if you just go in and see the dual arena, like that's certainly like not what the full game is about. That's only like a small like mini game version of what they got planned. Personally, I played RuneScape a good amount younger when I was a kid. I loved it, and I think a lot of people from like the NFT and crypto world were a part of RuneScape. It like taught you a lot about like how to, I guess, like trade and how to like not get scammed because there's so many scams in there. Like people got burnt all the time, and like trusting people online and also like socializing online and like the whole like guild aspect of like forming groups and coordination. I don't even know if that's a word. Coordination. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You guys get it. But yeah, I think all that, like there's so many roots of like OG crypto people and NFT people from RuneScape that I think a lot of people are really hoping for a game like that, and I think Cambria could be that game. I don't know if it is going to be, I really don't. It's more so like a hopeful bet for me that I'm making, and from just what I've seen so far, they're doing a good job of working towards that. I don't think it's going to be anything immediate. It's going to take time for sure to be able to get to that level, and I don't think it's going to be like fully immersive as obviously RuneScape is, but I think they're doing a really good job of like including in-game items and like the social aspect of it, and having it feel like the OG RuneScape days. I think incorporating coins and NFTs all within the same ecosystem. Soulbound NFTs make a lot of sense in there too. Yeah, I'm personally bullish on it. More so, I wouldn't say I'm like crazy bullish, but more so like optimistic that they can pull it off. But it's certainly going to take a while.
Just don't let anybody offer to trim your armor or double your GP by dropping all your items, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A little alpha from Lemon there. All right, cool. Definitely don't want to get scammed in the new RuneScape. Plenty of that happened in the old one. All right, so yeah, we've got 15, 20, 25 minutes here. We can go over some more stuff if there's anything that anybody wants to bring up from the crowd. We did have Van Squeeb asked about Flash Trade, which I'm not familiar with. I don't know if we have. Is it Ezra that's doing all those write-ups on it? I don't know if he's here, or if anybody familiar with Flash Trade wants to jump up.
I'm not so familiar with it. Oh, you can go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, what's the alpha? Hit us.
No, I just want to echo like that. The team portion of it is kind of what makes me the most bullish. I think they're super in tune with what they need to do to make it a successful platform. Also, I love these segments where we just talk about my bags so we can chill them. That's great. Try not to do that too much. But yeah, I think they're just taking a slower approach, like Seth mentioned, to how they want to delay or how they want to roll out their different features. Right now, they're purposely limiting liquidity. I've tried the platform. Right now, it's like not really super interesting to me because they don't have like any liquidity for me to get trades in, and they're not very competitive on fees at the moment. I hope that they can become a mainstay for Solana, and then these beasts pump a lot. I think they have the potential, but it's likely going to be something that takes time, right? And the fact that, but it's also like a decent hold because you get LP rewards from holding these beasts as well. They're NFTs, so it's not a huge deal to have to back hold some of these and face the price fluctuations of doing so and tying up your liquidity. That's kind of just how I see it. It's more of like a wait and see for me, play, I would say, and hopefully they can deliver. I think the team can. I think they're very experienced enough to do so, but I don't think it's going to be any type of immediate moon type situation. We'd love to see it. Yeah, I know THC has it out here in like 10 minutes or so. So, yeah, kind of thought process with the show, I would say, is we're kind of gonna end like the whole, I guess, formal format of just bringing up new topics and such. But like I said in the beginning, the goal with the show is we wanted to encourage voice hangout activity. We wanted to, get it back to where we were in MVHQ 2021, that bull market where the voice chat was ripping and vibing the whole time. And what better ways to start it off, right? And on Monday mornings. So yeah, I think this is a good spot, to kind of end the whole show portion of Voice Hangout. I appreciate y'all coming out to hang with us and to chat it up. A lot of super good insight, I thought, going into the show. But please stick around. I'm personally going to be still hanging out in VC, probably, getting some things done, and then popping in and out as well all day. So yeah, we can continue to chat it up on whatever topic. But again, you guys, thank you for coming out to the first show. We're gonna keep doing this every Monday. We might like slightly adjust the format. We might not at all. It's gonna be an iterative process. Like all things in MVHQ, we're gonna try to get better and better at what we do. Always. So yeah, that's about it for me. THC, any closers here?
Not much, man. Very well said. Yeah, just super excited just to see all these PFPs in here, man. All these faces and familiar names. While there's not an active mint happening, I know I opened up with that, but I just want to reiterate here. It's like when the shit's hitting the fan, it's hard to get the information and figure out what you need to do. You kind of have, information decision paralysis. You're kind of just stuck there. So love the idea of Monday mornings each week, us sort of just laying out the biggest topics and things to look out for and just kind of get everybody on the same page. That way, collectively, we're all kind of eating together because, there's stuff that I don't. There's things that obviously all the members know that we don't. So really good just to put all of our heads together here. And yeah, like Jake said, let's continue the conversation. You don't have to pack it up and leave. We're just going to stop the recording rather here. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys next Monday to do the same thing all over again.